Hi, are you new to yoga or do you want to start yoga in the new year? Then I want to congratulate you on this journey because yoga has so many benefits that I can't even list all of them. And there are millions of people out there that do yoga almost every day because it works. However, there is so much information about yoga out there, and you probably saw a lot of these fancy poses on social media where you think, oh my god, this is all a little overwhelming and I will never be able to do yoga. This is why today I want to give you 6 tips for complete yoga beginners to make it easier for you to get started on this journey. Before we get started, I just want to say hi, my name is Julia, I am a yoga teacher and Ayurveda coach, and with this channel, my goal is to bring yoga and Ayurveda closer to busy women just like you. So let's get started with our 6 tips for yoga beginners. Tip number 1 is to start slow and steady. Don't do too much too quickly. At the beginning, focus on rolling out your mat every day, getting on your mat and doing 1 or 2 poses. Over time, you can increase that, but at the beginning, don't think that you have to be perfect to get started, and focus on starting small and take slow and small steps. A great way to start a yoga practice is with sun salutations. I actually have a 3-day free video series on sun salutations to bring them closer to you, and you can click here to check that out. Sun salutations are a combination of, I think, 12 poses that we combine with our breath, and they are great for beginners or for everyone who is a seasoned yogi and who wants to warm up the body before getting started. Another way to get started is to pick 3 or 5 poses that are really achievable. So don't pick the most complicated poses, pick 3 to 5 poses and just do them on your mat. The important thing here is that you show up. Roll out your mat, even if it's just for 5 minutes, even if it's in front of the TV, even if it's in your PJs, that's all fine. Just show up every day. Tip number 2 is to focus on breathing. So during your yoga practice, especially during transitions or when you get into a pose, you will hear your yoga teacher always say inhale and exhale to accompany with certain poses. Your breathing should be calm and measured. If you feel it's difficult to keep an even breathing rhythm during your yoga practice, maybe your poses are too hard or you are moving too fast. Luckily, we have a lot of modifications that we can do in our yoga practice to slow down our practice and make it a little bit more approachable. A lot of people get confused on how to breathe correctly in yoga. So there is a really good rule of thumb when it comes to breathing in yoga. You normally inhale when you reach up or when you stretch, and you exhale when you bend forward or when you twist. In a forward bend, for example, you inhale to reach up and exhale to fold forward. The same is true for sun salutations. You inhale to reach up for an upward salute and you exhale to dive forward. In a twisting pose, you inhale to make your spine long and you exhale to twist. Tip number 3 is modifying is not cheating. It's okay to modify a pose or to even skip a pose. As you progress in your yoga practice, you will find that some poses that feel really difficult at the beginning will get easier and easier over time. There's no shame in modifying a pose. In fact, it's often better to modify a pose to prevent injuries or to prevent any wrong movements. When it comes to modifying, I highly recommend yoga props. You can use a strap if you can't reach your toes. You can use a block to bring the mat up a few inches. You can use a blanket to sit more comfortable. And you can use a bolster during meditation or in a restorative pose. And there are so many more ways on how to use yoga props, but this is for another video. Tip number 4 is to listen to your body. When your body is sore or hurt, it may be setting a boundary for you that you need to respect. Remember that every body is different, and only because your teacher is doing something, that doesn't mean that you have to do it and that you have to push through to get into a pose. Because when we push our bodies too hard, we really risk bad injuries, which will prevent us from rolling out our mat the next day or even for a longer time. Many teachers say that your shin should be parallel to the mat in pigeon pose. But this is actually not physically possible for a lot of people, including myself. In this case, it's totally fine to bring the foot closer to the body as long as the knee stays on the outside of the mat so that you open your hip, or to practice a reclined pigeon pose. That's why it's really great to have a good teacher by your side who can show you modifications for your specific body type. Inside my membership community called Blissflow Studio, I have a whole section that focuses on yoga poses and how to get into these poses safely. So there is a video for each pose that shows you exactly how to get into the pose and how to modify the pose for your body. Tip number 5 is to celebrate Shavasana. Shavasana is normally the last pose of each yoga class. No matter how your yoga class went, remember to get into this pose to celebrate that you made it to the finish line. And this is especially important for yoga beginners because you want to celebrate that you even rolled out your mat and that you showed up. Shavasana is also a great way to calm down the nervous system. And you will see after some time that you will get into this state of bliss during Shavasana. But it also has an impact on your life afterwards. Because it has this calming effect on the nervous system, it will help you to deal with stress away from your mat. Shavasana actually means corpse pose. So we practice death. And in the Western world, talking or thinking about death is not really common. And for some people, it even creates some anxiety at the end of a class. For me personally, Shavasana is a practice of letting go. Letting go of the ego, letting go of cravings, letting go of negative thoughts, or letting go of any other things that make us unhappy. Practicing death also gives us the chance of rebirth. So every time you get off your mat, it is a new beginning in your life. This is also the reason why a lot of teachers teach coming to fetal position after a Shavasana. And this brings me to tip number 6. Don't take it too seriously. Remember, yoga is supposed to be good for your health, which includes your mental health. So if practicing yoga gives you a lot of stress and anxiety, then maybe it's not the right practice for you. However, remember that no one expects you to show up perfectly on your mat every day. There is no judgment in yoga. There is no competition. You can't lose in yoga. And it's also important to laugh at ourselves from time to time when we come to the strange poses. It is also completely fine if you don't see anything spiritual in the practice of yoga. Then just see it as a nice workout and some nice stretches. The great thing about yoga is that it is for everyone, even if you don't follow it to the T as it was written down in some ancient texts. Make sure to have fun in your practice. Laugh when you fall out of a balancing pose. Practice at night in front of your TV or wear your PJs. Everything is allowed here. It is your practice and it should bring you joy. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know below what your favorite yoga tips for beginners are, and I will see you soon on your mat. Bye!